Welcome to Gnarly Metal After Hours, a live rock and talk show featuring conversations with radio announcers, musicians, and fans about radio rock and records of the 80s. It's an extension of my Friday night music show, Gnarly Metal. I'm Kelly Thomas, and this particular show is on the air select Saturdays of each month, so thank you for listening today. I have the pleasure of being joined in studio by owner, CEO, and on-air broadcast talent, Jake Walker of CSLocal Media. And Jake, I've been told that you and PD Paul used to work together at another radio cluster here in Colorado Springs.
Oh, yes, that's right. We did back in the radio shopping show era. We would host a long 1 to 2 hour show where we would talk about local businesses and sell discounted gift certificates to those businesses over the air. People would call in and Paul and I would be on the show together, going back and forth. So I love working with Paul. I've known him since even back in the days of Citadel Broadcasting when it was Cumulus now. Oh my gosh, just fun times working with Paul.
Yeah, it's been great to have the opportunity to work for him because I was at Cumulus when it was Citadel, but Paul was not there at the same time I was there. So having an opportunity to meet him later on has been absolutely.
A lot of us have kind of crossed paths, like we've been in that building, like you and I guess. Yeah, I was there in 2011. I don't know what year you were there.
Yep, my last year there was 2000. So
just a little bit before.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, just a little bit.
When you started your media career, were you initially interested in radio or were you interested primarily in television or maybe even both?
Yeah, this came way back to when I was a young boy and my older brother had a friend named Dan Hardy and he was a big radio personality here in town and he brought me to the radio station one day. And ever since then, I always had a dream to be on the radio. And so I achieved that dream right out of high school, or I was actually still in high school when I got my job at the radio station. So having achieved that dream, I had to set my next goal.
Yes.
And that was to television. And so I made the ranks over there at KKTV, started as an editor, went to a photographer, then they let me go on camera and do some reporting. So that was my next goal. And so now that's been achieved. Where do I set the goal next? CSLocal Media was kind of like, hey, I want to be able to do this, all my media stuff for myself and have it be done legally. I need that LLC.
Of course.
So let's get it done. And it's so easy to get your own LLC. It really didn't make sense not to do it. So I've been doing this kind of stuff since, I was little and I just kind of continued. And in 2018, I decided, let's make this for real, a for real thing. So on 10/4 of 18 is when we launched CSLocal Media, me, myself, and I.
Excellent.
And I've been running it strong ever since.
That's a good board of directors to have.
Oh,
too.
Thank you. They say thank you as well.
Right. On your video business card, it shows that you have extensive experience in media. So other than radio and TV, what other media work do you enjoy doing?
Oh, definitely. So video business cards are definitely one of them for small business owners in town here in Colorado Springs. I love to work with getting them on video and showing their story and what they do and why they do it, importantly, and how you can reach these people in an all together 1-minute video that nicely, eloquently just showcases all of that. And I call them a video business card. Right now I'm doing them for $250, which is a limited time rate, and can definitely reach out to me to get some of those. I'd love to get started with you at CSLocalmedia.com if you want to check some of those out, CSLocalmedia.com.
Now, this is going to show my age, but when I was working in the corporate world, which was kind of a sidebar to my work in radio was always my primary goal. But for most of us who work in the industry, we know that from time to time, you have to take what I refer to as an interim position. So a little something to help you pay the bills while you're waiting for your next radio opportunity to come along.
Yeah.
Anyway, during this particular time, there were people doing video resumes. I'm wondering what's the difference between the video resume and the video business card? Is the video business card perhaps a shorter segment, more highlights?
No, that's a great question. I would say the video business card is more for businesses and, a video resume would be more for an individual. So trying to highlight themselves versus my video business cards featuring a business and their services and what they offer.
Mm-hmm. And just as your resume, you would kind of tweak it and make updates or changes to it as you gain more experience. I'm guessing with the video business card, the same thing holds true when you gather more experience. experience, or you have something that's different that hasn't been highlighted in that video, then it would be an opportunity for you to go and get in
do
touch with
another
you.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
let's do another one. And it's not just a one-time off deal, because people grow, people change, things get added. So let's highlight those things and update your videos. Oh yeah, let's definitely do it.
On your website, CSLocal Media, you've got a number of different services that are provided, including broadcasting services, but there are some that might not fall under the umbrella of broadcasting services. You want to tell us a little bit about those services?
Definitely. So, there's terrestrial broadcasting like our K, la 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 stations out here west of the Mississippi. And then there's other broadcasts that are non-traditional, like the one I'm on right now as we speak on Facebook. I'm broadcasting on my Facebook simulcasting right there. So
Excellent.
some of these technologies that are newer are underutilized, like live feeds on Facebook, and people should be using these because Facebook and Meta loves it when you go live, and they'll share it and they'll push it out because it's video, and video does amazing on social media. So getting the video going is important.
Well, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. That's one of the reasons I take the show that you and I are doing right now, and I record the Gnarly Metal after hours, and then I put together a little bit of video to go with the recorded interview, because it gives people a chance to actually access it on demand. For those people who are maybe working or spending time with friends and family and can't listen, they can go back and they can access it at a time that's convenient for them. But in addition to that, there's the visual component of it that I think is so captivating for a lot of people.
It really is. It really is. And in 2025, there's no reason you shouldn't be giving a visual element to everything that you're doing, even if it is on radio.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And that's what makes Gnarly 101 unique, and the ability to be able to do that and pushing those limits of creativity and trying to keep up with the times of visual media.
And on that note, I'm going to jump to the next question. So when you're producing content for CSLocal Media, do you leverage any specific technology to enhance your productivity or your creative process?
Oh, yeah. There's a whole bunch of technology that I rely on every single day to run CSLocal Media, and that's down to my MacBook Pro and my green screen and my lights in my studio, my Canon SL2 camera. It's a Rebel. I love the thing for video. It's nice, small, compact, and I have 5 different lenses that I can use depending on, what project needs to be done. And in addition to that, I've even started using AI.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well,
And AI has really helped me in a ton of ways with my business. As far as when I'm making a post on my Facebook page, a lot of times I'll have AI help write that for me. So I can say, hey, these are the things that I want to highlight. Help me write this in a way that, has emojis and is visually pleasing. And then it'll help spit out a thing. And there's a double-edged sword though, right? It's really helped me a lot, but it has set me back some. I tried to do my business cards all with AI, and I thought it did fabulous, and I sent it off to the printer. And then when I looked at it, I thought it was fabulous until I saw my phone number, and it got my phone number wrong.
wow.
It did 119 instead of 719.
Wow.
And it was so subtle, I didn't notice it on the proof. So AI messes up. So it's important to know that, it'll help you write things, but you still need to go through 100% of everything that it does and check it for yourself. And you're probably going to need to tweak and change some things here and there.
Well, yeah. And just to go on your phone and do a simple Google search, and then the AI pops up at the very beginning or the very top of your phone selection. And at the very bottom of that AI selection, it says, AI is experimental.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, heads up, this may be completely bonkers. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it really messes up, especially if you try to make images of people. You'll notice it'll give you extra fingers or sometimes cars. They'll just come out looking all sorts of funny. Yeah, little details. And that's the thing. You got to be careful seeing AI art out there too. I see a lot of stuff on Meta and Facebook, Instagram. They say, oh, look at this gorgeous view from Garden of the Gods. And it's not. It looks like it could be, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, no, this is AI of the gods, honey. This is not Garden of the Gods. That's a little different there. But AI gets it close, and it gets it close enough to where, it's helpful to me in my business, to where writing certain things and coming up with quick images, it definitely helps.
Yeah, you and I talked about this off the air, but it's just my opinion that moving forward, AI is going to continue to get better and become more efficient. content.
Oh, yeah.
What I don't think will happen is I don't think the human element will disappear completely from broadcasting, but I
Right.
think we can be certainly supported with the work for AI, provided there are guardrails, provided there are guidelines around copyright content. And I want to be sure
Yes.
that people who are giving their voice or their image or anything artistic that they create have their work copyrighted so that it is not cloned and then being used again by AI.
Right. You and I sitting right here on the radio. How weird would it be if you hear your voice on a commercial and you're in the grocery store? You're like, wait, that's me.
That's me.
And you didn't notice your pocketbook benefit from that one bit either.
Yep.
That's sus and that's scary. And that's a harsh reality of AI that we don't really have out there. This is such a new technology that these, what would you call, rules and regulations that you need. Yeah, we need to get on that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think there's promise and I think there's potential, but I just want to make sure that everybody is taken care of in a way that is respectful and in a way that shows kindness and understanding about the human content that's being created.
Yeah, that's the other argument of it, is that AI is going to put out all of the real artists. And I mean, we saw this back in the 90s to the 2000s in Disney when they stopped having all of their animators. My cousin Troy Gustafson was one of them.
Really?
He animated the Hercules, the Lion King, and he drew it on his desk. I remember going to Disney World as a little kid and seeing all of these drawings, and he would flip through and show how much energy and time goes into making just a rock falling look natural.
Yeah.
And all of these people's jobs just got wiped out when computer graphics started taking over the scene. Well, are we going to see that again now with AI?
Right.
But there's, again, what we were talking about earlier, without a human to check that AI's work, it's going to come out looking really funny with 5, 6 extra fingers and toes and oh, yeah. You got to have that human element. And funny side point I want to bring up, I asked AI myself, I was like, hey, is AI going to take over the world? I wanted to know. I need to know these things so I can sleep at night. Yeah, so I figured, I have a pretty good relationship with my AI, ChatGPT. I have it named Nova. It knows all about me, and I know all about it. Well, a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. But it told me that it won't, by nature, be bad unless humans make it be bad.
Oh, yeah. And that's a little scary one, too. That requires a lot of confidence and trust in our fellow humans. And that's not always, it's not easy for me to trust everybody. I trust a lot of people. It's not easy for me to trust everybody.
Right. Because how harmless is a fake photo of Garden of the Gods in reality? But then what if we're talking about crime scenes and whodunit type things? Yeah. This AI can get really, really messy really quick.
Yeah. And any potential manipulation of audio and video, which we know exists. I mean, having worked in the industry as long as we have, we know that it's out there and it's present. We'd like to think it's not used frequently, but it may be.
And it's there. Yeah. And it lives online and they can grab it and use it. And hopefully they're nice with it, right?
Right. What's one of the biggest changes that you've seen in the broadcasting industry over the past few years?
Yeah, definitely the use of social media in our local news stations. They are all about that now. And a lot of the bigger news companies are going to more of a digital first type strategy to where they're more concerned with putting out these digital pieces that will then line up together, hopefully on the air well. And so you're not seeing a live newscast like you did back in the day from 5 to 6. They sit down and they tell you the stories over the course of an hour. These are just little files, just little chunks. Each story is its own file, its own chunk, and they try to throw it together to make one big newscast out of it. It's a new concept that they're still working the kinks out of. But it's a really cool new concept to where now these stories are available digitally first, and then they come together to form a newscast.
That's really interesting. And I'm wondering if the increase of people using things like Reels on Facebook or Shorts on Instagram, if that's kind of contributing to breaking things down into smaller pieces and then trying to incorporate those together to make an overall newscast.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just all these little pieces of the puzzle and they're putting them together. And the companies that are going digital first, I have faith in, and I feel like they're going to be able to keep swimming through this avalanche that's about to drown everyone else out.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. I am, as a person who is, radio is near and dear to my heart and has been for many, many years. And I will admit that I am a little jaded in the direction that I see the radio industry moving. I have faith that it will continue on. I think what radio looks like today is going to be very different than what it looked like 15, 20 years ago and what it will look like 15 to 20 years in the future. Having said that, one of the industries that I've watched, and it has been hard to watch, is I hate to say demise, but is the overall change of the newspaper industry. And my concern is that radio and television may be heading in a direction that's similar to that, with downsizing their resources to the point that the product is no longer as desirable for listeners and viewers. Do you think that there's a possibility of that happening, or do you think there will be enough foresight, at least on the television side perhaps, that that can be avoided?
Well, here's how I see it. I think there's one magic key thing that's going to keep radio and television alive.
And what's that?
Free.
Oh, yes, of course.
It is free for you to get. You still got to pay to get that newspaper thrown on your driveway, but you can tune in to those antennas on top of Cheyenne Mountain with an antenna.
Yes.
And you don't have to have a Hulu or a Netflix subscription. So if you forgot to pay for that, then you can still watch your TV.
Yeah. And, you're hitting on all these things that I wanted to talk about today. So I'm going to take a small detour here.
Yeah.
And I want to you talked about subscriptions, and I want to mention cable news, because I think cable news is struggling today. And I suspect one of the reasons that they're struggling is because they have these bundled programs where you buy multiple different cable options that include news in it. And if you are choosing not to buy those bundled options, then you're not supporting cable news. And it seems like they might have to kind of rethink their business model.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's that same kind of thing of, are we going to deliver chunks of digestible media to social media first and digital platforms first, and then put out our newscast? And who's still paying for cable television? Oh my gosh. And I don't think there's going to be, over the next 20 years, many people paying for cable television at all.
Right.
When you have all these other options to get that media first now on your phone, and I don't have to sit here and watch and wait for you to get to that topic. I can pull out my phone and type in the topic, and then instantly it's pulled up to my phone.
That's right.
So I think they're going to have a real hard time. Now, what makes it interesting is this curveball. When we have a cable service provider, Xfinity, is now NBC and owns NBC.
Yes, that's
so
right.
now we have a cable service provider is owning one of the major networks. That's crazy. And then they have their streaming services because they're smart. And I think that is what's going to keep them swimming.
Yeah, that's great. Excellent points. All right, we're going to take a break real quickly. Jake put together a playlist. We're going to play a couple of his songs.
I love it. Time to party.
Woohoo! And we'll be back in a matter of moments. You're listening to Gnarly Metal After Hours on gnarly101.com. You're listening to Gnarly Metal After Hours. It is a live rock and talk show featuring conversations with announcers, musicians, and fans about radio rock and records of the 80s. I'm joined in studio today by my friend Jake Walker, CEO, owner of CSLocal Media. And before we continue, I'd like you to take a few moments, tell people how they can find you and support you and your business.
Yes, please. Definitely. Check out all of my work online at CSLocalmedia.com, like Colorado Springs, CSLocalmedia.com. And you can shoot me a text message if you'd like at 719-233-8200. Again, that's 719-233-8200. Love for you to check out my stuff online or get a hold of me today.
And there's another place that people can see you. Just recently, you partnered with, trying to remember this from your Facebook post.
Oh, the 719 Pulse?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Another local online radio station playing just a different kind of music. And happy to provide my news updates like I do here on Gnarly 101. Those gnarly news updates. That's me. Hello.
Yay.
And then doing some news updates for 7119 Pulse as well. So excited to be partnered with them.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about broadcasting. I know we talked about it before the break, but let's go ahead and finish this conversation because I feel there's a lot to discuss.
Oh, we could talk all day.
what do you think are some of the biggest challenges facing the broadcast industry as a whole?
I think adapting to the times and the fact that people are digesting their media elsewhere, and the companies that aren't understanding that, I think that's their biggest challenge right there, is you got to meet your people where they're at, and they're not wanting to tune in to the news anymore. The older generation still does, but that's not going to be the case in 20 years.
You bring up an excellent point. As I was getting ready for this show, I was doing some research, and one of the things that I discovered is people between the ages of 50 and 70 are the ones who continue to tune in to network and cable news. Younger generation is heading a little bit more towards YouTube and similar platforms in
Yep.
order to gather their news. I'm guessing we have reached a place where on demand is almost an expectation, and it
is.
certainly is a convenience. So for a network television news program or a cable news program that's set at a specific time, it might be a little more challenging for somebody who's on the go or on the move to make time in their schedule
Yes.
specifically to take in that news content.
And that's why social media is so advantageous for these stations to be using, is because then they can get their stories out now instead of, oh my gosh, this breaking news happened at 2 and we're going to wait till 5 o'clock to tell you about this traffic. When you already got home, let me tell you about the roads to avoid. Oh yeah, that would have been nice to know before I left home for work. That's why people are joining my CSLocal news group on Facebook. And there's over 1,000 people in there now. And I post locally relevant, hyperly locally relevant stories to Colorado Springs in there myself. And I share from other organizations as well, the local things that are the most impactful to us, crime-wise, traffic-wise, and weather-wise. And people are able to go in there and search right away for if something's happening. Is bomb threat? Oh, let me type in bomb threat. And then there you go. There's the information versus I'm going to wait till 5 p.m. to watch that.
Well, I think it's an important part of how we spend our time during the day, especially because it seems that the time that we have that one might call free time, at least in my world, appears to be a little bit elusive. So
Yeah, free time with a little asterisk. Terms and exclusions apply. See store for details. Yeah, no, it's hard to get that free
exactly
time.
right. When you produce these news segments, are you producing them in your own designated studio, or do you have a specific area designated in your home, perhaps, that you set up in?
Yeah, I have multiple different areas. I have a studio over off Arendale Drive that I do the videos. I have my home space where I can do just about anything as well. And then if I'm out and about, in my pocket is my phone, and I am adding stories. If I'm in the waiting room of the doctor and I see something new come through on the CSPD blotter, I'm going to be posting it right then and there. And I don't have to go through an approval process and editing and producers approvals and stuff. So my stories get shared before the local news does. So people in my group know about these news stories before the news does.
So it's almost instantaneous.
It's almost instant. As soon as I see it, I post it. And I don't editorialize it. I don't change it. I don't change anything. I just take from CSPD, boom, copy paste. This is what they said. You can come to your own conclusion. I don't need to spell this out for you.
Right.
People can come to their own conclusions. And I'm seeing these posts that we're sharing go viral to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people.
That's
And
excellent.
So we're reaching just so many people, thousands and thousands.
Let me ask you something, Jake. One of the roles that I've had in the past was working as a producer and also a traffic reporter here in the Colorado Springs area. And we always used to welcome phone calls from people giving us updates about traffic situations. Oh, hey, do you know there's, a 3-car pileup on southbound I-25? Do you find it helpful, or is it possible for people to contact you directly if they have some aspect of news they
And
want
I'm
to
looking at my phone right now at a DM where someone told me that there was a wreck on Powers.
Oh, wow.
People will just literally, and they know that I've been doing this for long enough now that I'm going to be the one to go to.
Yes.
So they say, hey, there's this. I get news tips every day from people. And a lot of them don't unfortunately make it into the group because I don't see it as hugely impactful, but I still appreciate knowing what's going on and around. And sometimes you have to look at all these stories a little closely, and there is some kind of, oh, well, that's interesting. And if there's to it, then I'm going to post it. But if it's just, someone got into a fender bender, then, that's not really news. But if
Sure.
they got into a fender bender and they found 40 pounds of meth,
Yep.
well,
There
then
you
that might
go.
be a news story.
Right.
Yeah.
Or is blocking 3 lanes of traffic, then there's a
Yes.
consideration. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the phrase you used, hyper local.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
That is going to be like 80920 status. We're talking Colorado Springs. I love you, Manitou, but I'm sorry, you're a little bit far for us. Falcons, same. You're cool, but it's not hyper local. Colorado Springs. You could even argue that hyper local would be saying like Briargate. And so I try to keep my stories as local as possible to Colorado Springs proper.
And do you find that sometimes you're covering news stories that are also being covered later in local news broadcasts?
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing them pick it up almost immediately. And these sources where they get their news from, anyone can sign up for. So I just signed up for all of the same sources that they're subscribed to, and they just come out in newsletter format. So all the news people do is just monitor their emails for stuff to come in. They listen to the police scanner, and if they hear something, they make a call.
Yeah.
And anyone can do that. So it's not really any kind of secret sauce to what they're doing out there. But yeah.
A couple of things that'll take us a little bit further along this conversation about media. And I am a little bit hesitant to use this phrase because it's not mine alone. I can't tell you the name of the person who coined the phrase, but I like
Okay.
it. So here it is. The phrase is crisis of credibility. And that refers specifically to today's news organizations. Do you think that news is being presented in a fair and balanced manner, or do you think that the crisis of credibility is okay?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a crisis of a credibility. And I think a lot of people don't take in all of the sources themselves. And I think people are at fault to that, not necessarily the news stations, because they can't in and of themselves be completely unbiased. If you're going to report a story this way and you're going to try to present both sides, well, another station can come with that same story with a different angle and present both sides to that. So you need to take in all of the different stories considered about one topic from different sources, from different media stations, and come to your own conclusion. Otherwise, you're trusting a lot and you're not getting the full picture.
Do you think YouTube and other similar platforms, like we've talked about, may be drawing viewers away from traditional network and cable news programs?
150%. And that's going to be the death of the companies that don't get with that don't put that digital strategy first and before their cable broadcast strategy. Then, oh man, I see it swirling down the toilet right now. I hear it flushing. Oh, so sad.
One of the things that I've said about radio is there's a generation of people who were raised on radio. I know it's a little cliche, but bear with me. But people who were raised on radio have the habit already of listening to radio. And yet when it comes to watching TV news, there's a similar group of people who have been raised with the habit of watching news and getting it from their TV. A younger generation is coming up that knows that they can access that information through YouTube or other similar platforms. My question is, with people having the habit of watching television to get their news, being people of an older generation, and the younger generation getting their news from YouTube and other social media platforms.
Right. I don't see the older people having kids anytime soon and teaching them to get their news from television news.
Exactly.
The younger kids are having kids and they're teaching them to get their news immediately right here and now in your pocket.
Yes.
And it would just be silly to want to do it any other way, because why would you want to wait for your news? And why would you want just one person telling you your news?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, last question. Do you feel there is a need for adaptability and innovation for new media strategies?
150%.
Yeah.
Because like we just said, those people are going to news and they're going to social media and they're going online for news. Digital first is where it's headed. And the companies that can get behind that are going to do just fine. And the companies that can't, well, we see that they're not doing too good.
Okay, another question for you that is unrelated to news. I'm
Okay.
wondering.
Switching it up.
Yep, surprise. I'm wondering if there are any philanthropic or charity causes or organizations that you feel passionate about that you'd like to talk with us about
Yes,
today.
I so do the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region. I volunteer photographer for them. And so I have the most amazing, cool job to be able to take some of these puppies and dogs out and then into their paparazzi studio. It's a whole little studio they have back there, and snap their photos to help these dogs get adopted. So I do that every week, and it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. Food equity also is something that's important to me. So the people with the Sunnyside Market in Colorado Springs are doing an amazing job, and Solid Rock Community Food Bank, Be the Change 719. Oh man, all of these, so many, like, Colorado Springs is the nonprofit mecca of the country. There's so many nonprofits here. And so it's so hard to pick just a few, but I think those would be the ones that are closest to my heart right now.
Yeah, it's all very worthy and noble causes.
People need to eat, and puppies need a home.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving of your time to do
Of
that and
course.
for everybody.
It's my honor. It's my pleasure.
All right, let's close out with this question. What is the best advice you've ever been given, whether it's about the broadcasting industry, your career, or life in general?
About the broadcast industry, don't expect any type of job security, long-term security, or good pay. Don't expect that, and you have to have a thick skin. And it's something that I don't have. I don't have a thick skin, and so whenever I come to an end of a contract, it tears me apart, and I will be in tears, and it hurts just so bad every time your contract ends. And I think having that thick skin is important. If you don't have it, you can still do it like me. It's going to hurt, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very clever the way you have taken your skill set and created your own company in order to create content and work for yourself.
Thanks.
And it seems like that might be a direction that more and more people will begin falling into as we look at larger organizations, perhaps reducing the number of jobs, whether it be for AI or whether it be for financial reasons. We have to rely on our own resources at certain times in our lives, and especially acknowledge that we're good at what we do.
Yeah, and just because you're not on a contract under a certain station right now doesn't mean you're not a broadcaster. You're still a broadcaster through and through.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, you have been listening to Gnarly Metal After Hours, a talk show that features conversations with radio announcers, musicians, and fans about radio rock and records of the 80s. It's on the air select Saturdays each month. Before I finish signing off and get us back into music, I'd like you, Jake, to take one more moment and share with our listening audience how they can support you and how they can find you.
Yes, definitely. CSLocalmedia.com is my website. My phone number is 719-233-8200. You can text me, give me a call, visit the website at CSLocalmedia.com.
Excellent. Well, I'm Kelly Thomas, and until next time, have a great weekend, peace, and keep it right here on gnarly101.com for the very best of the 80s.